Now, you do make a commission for how many souls you get. So I'm sure you are aware more than we are how much you are below expectations. You do need some improvements. This is where the things that we talked about already is going to come in really, really handy. Oh, yes. Come in, come in. Welcome. Yes, this is our performance review, right? Yes, it's about 2:00. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Yeah, come sit down, have a seat, get comfortable. I've just been going through all of these throughout the day, so, it's been a bit tough on me, but, I'm sure it'll be good for you, and this is all gonna go great, okay? So, I'm sure you're a bit confused, right? I've been meeting with everybody today, and whenever a manager ends up talking to all of the staff and all of the workers, it's a little bit confusing, right? Like, did something happen? But don't worry, everything is totally, totally fine. We just have a few things that we wanted to catch up on, okay? I think that, upper management really wanted to figure out whether they wanted an all hands meeting, something of, they wanted to touch base, really. You know what I mean? But they also didn't want to intimidate you guys. You're out there, you're collecting souls, you're the manifestation of death. And us, we just control your every move. And, that takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of courage for us to do that. And they really, they don't think that you guys understand that. I know that you guys understand that because, you're you. I talk to you guys every day. We share coffee together. Like, I'm sure you respect me, right? So let's just go through what I have to go through. Make this a nice, quick little meeting. It couldn't have been an email, but if it had been an email, I'm sure you wouldn't have read it. So let's just get to it. So this is going to be the death performance review, okay? Each and every one of you is the manifestation of death for our company and for humankind. So this is pretty serious. We try to do these performance reviews every quarter, but things get in the way. But it is it's a new year, and SKO is just, it's starting. The Souls kickoff is just starting. So everything is up in the air. A lot of the godly, the GEO is having a really, really fun time restructuring, right? We're always in a constant state of flux to make sure that we appease the shareholders. Which would be the gods, of course. So, on the agenda today, just so that you and I are on the same page, we have got a quick performance check. So we're just going to go through, figure out what it is that you're doing well, what you need to work on, whether you meet expectations, exceed expectations, that sort of thing. Then we're going to go through heavenly updates. That is basically just updates within heaven, within the company, within everything that that might concern you, and then we're going to do a little bit of retraining. Now, this is mandatory retraining. I have to do it with everybody, but we still want to make sure that that you need to really pay attention to this. Okay, it's very important, and this retraining comes straight from the top. I tried to get us out of it. I tried to, my workers are the best. My workers can do everything right, but they really forced it, and it definitely is something that everybody needed retraining on, and definitely not just you. We definitely didn't do this in particular because we didn't want to confront you in particular. We wanted everybody to know it anyway. So now that we've done that and I've gone through that, let's go through just like the minor sort of this branch's updates, the office updates. All hands meetings that we have every morning, those are not going to require hands anymore. I know every day. We require you to bring in the hands of all of the souls that you've gathered, just as a sort of show of like a little bit of like friendly competition, right? This person brought in 1,000 hands, but it ends up causing a lot of unnecessary strife in the company and within the workers. And we've gotten a few complaints about it. In particular, there's a few people that find that they don't want to brag. It tends to be that the people that don't bring in the hands end up doing most of the work. And the people that do bring in the hands think that they're doing a lot, but they're really not. So no hands at the all hands meeting, okay? You're just going to bring yourself and your knowledge. How many? You need to know how many, okay? Next is the GEO wants souls to be brought back the same day or else. Now, this is a little bit scary, right? Here, I'm going to put a little bit of a mark next to this. I know I can see you're a little bit anxious about that. Don't worry about it. It just basically means that the GEO has been having a lot of problems with the shareholders, with the other gods, because it tends to be that when our reapers, when you and other people tend to go out, you tend to prioritize human beings as like their comfort within their death. And I think that that is something that we have held up to a really high standard within our company. But moving forward, there's going to be some change. Okay, it's something that we're going to need to start to just move on and get with the times. Times are they're much faster now. We've got TikTok, we've got decreasing attention spans. This is one of those things where we don't have the time to make people comfortable in their death anymore. So we're going to need to get creative, right? And we're going to need to start doing things that maybe we don't love, but things that we're going to have to be comfortable with. We can't take too long per person. And we'll get into that a little bit later, okay? So here, I'm putting a little mark on it. Okay, perfect, okay. And if you have to relieve yourself while you're on the job, when you're going from door to door, like soul to soul, collecting them, making sure that everything's okay, if you need to relieve yourself, make sure to do it outside the home. We do offer branded bottles that you can relieve yourself in. And if you don't have the necessary parts to sort of aim in there, we do have funnels as well. So that's something that, is not an excuse anymore. We've gotten a few complaints that, some reapers they tend not to flush, or they don't really consult. And it's starting to scare the customers, right? The customer is always right. And it's one of those things where we're just going to have to keep an eye on it. Okay. So, that in tandem with, not having to worry about bringing in the hands anymore and needing to bring in the souls the day of means that you're going to be moving a lot faster at your job, right? You're going to be moving and getting things done at a more timely speed. And that way we'll be able to meet the targets. Okay. Good. Any questions so far? Oh, you're looking a little bit sickly. Okay, well, are you okay? Okay, yeah, you're fine. Let me just... Do you have a fever? Okay, well, let's just keep going then. Okay. Well, if you did feel sick, I would, of course, go through this a little bit quicker, and then you'd have to go through your shift and then, go and go to the doctor, make sure that everything's all right with the doctor, make sure the doctor emails us so that we can correspond with them and make sure that we have a say in your treatment plan with your healthcare, yeah? But luckily, that's not the case. So let's move on to the first thing on the agenda, your performance, right? So in terms of your monthly souls that you bring in, it is below expectations. Now, you do make a commission for how many souls you get. So I'm sure you are aware more than we are how much you are below expectations. You do need some improvements. This is where the things that we talked about already is going to come in really, really handy. You need to you need to be pissing in bottles, and you need to not take comfort into the equation. And one of the things that we've made note of, I know you don't really notice, but sometimes I am lingering in the walls. I am watching, I'm listening. And as a Reaper, it seems that you get pretty attached to your souls. You enter a colonial home and you don't leave for hours. And, I tend to try to give privacy. It is part of our, it's something that we as a company pride ourselves in, is like every Reaper gets to have the privacy to usher the souls onto the afterlife the way that it was intended. But desperate times do call for desperate measures. And so I have been sort of peeking in, and I've sort of noticed that, you tend to accept like tea, you tend to sit and talk, and, you tend to form a bond, right? And I think that's one of the things that while great, while it's really good that you're able to connect with our customers, and it's why we hired you in the first place, I would say that needs to go, right? And I'm sure you agree with me, right? That this kind of thing needs to go. So let me just mark that as I mentioned it to you. Oh yeah, it's just so that I know that we talked to you about it. It's definitely not so that when we inevitably fire you, I can say that I did tell you about this. So, next is you're not keeping the company in mind. It seems that when you get really attached with the people, the dying people, you tend to think about them and only them, right? And what we need from you, what I need from you, is to keep the CEO in mind, right? The GEO and the CEO, you need to keep them in mind at all times. Every word that you say represents the company, and therefore you need to be able to be on the same page, right? Be on the same wavelength. I really recommend, I believe that our CEO has a podcast that you can listen to. I think it's How to Make Money for Suckers. So just give that a listen. So that you understand what it is that is expected from you, the type of mentality. So really, really don't. It is something that we recommend. It is not mandatory. However, if you don't listen to it, you likely will be on the chopping block sooner or later. But I didn't say that. This is just one of those things. I think, you know me. I'm always real. I keep it very honest with you guys. I'm very transparent. And so this is something that I'm telling you. If you don't listen to it, they're going to find out, and they're going to, take action. And I don't think that that's what you would want. I try to protect you guys from all of the bureaucracy. It's definitely one of those things that I really take pride in how much I protect you guys. I try to set achievable goals for you, and I hope that so far you feel like this is completely achievable and manageable. And if you have any questions and concerns, we'll talk about those at the end, because I really don't want to stop this sort of conversation flow. So, moving on from your below expectations of souls, let's move on to your culture fit, your personality, right? It's great. You have a wonderful culture fit. There's just a few things I want to keep note of. Okay, you're a little chatty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you haven't said anything here, but it's because you're a little bit anxious, right? I imagine you're not particularly, chatty right now, but don't think that the higher ups don't notice when you walk over to the other Reaper cubicle and see another Reaper, and then you're just flirting away, and it's one of those things where we don't like you fraternizing with the other workers. It's one of those things where we're just gonna have to circle back on that, make sure that we are aligned with the company message and the company mission, right? And being chatty leads to less souls. Less souls means less people in the afterlife, less people that can be our workers, right? Less people that can be our workers means less money for the higher ups. Less money for the higher ups means that it's not going to trickle down to you. So, and of course, we all know trickle down economics works. So, regardless of the situation, just take the little mouth and sip it. So next, you are easily distracting. So this is one of those things you are below expectations, and I think that this is sort of maybe a wake up call for you, right? Since you do hit our below expectations mark, which by the way you could not have met the expectations, because nobody meets expectations in this company. Because if you meet the expectations, then you're exceeding the expectations, and if you're exceeding the expectations, then we can't grow, and if we can't grow, then the shareholders will back out. So everybody has to be below expectations. But regardless, you end up distracting other people, right? Yes, I know that they like talking to you. I know that they have a good time and they laugh and they describe you as a joy and a wonder to have within the office. But it's also one of those things where you kind of have to stop it. I'm just gonna be real with you. Management doesn't like it, and they're gonna be keeping a close watch, right? So, you can do that in your free time. We give you guys 3 hours of sleep a day and 2 hours of personal time that is spread across 15-minute breaks. That should be plenty for you to form these like deep and meaningful connections with your coworkers that won't lead to wage theft. And then the last thing is there has been some talk about unions. I know, scary word, very scary word. But I've heard talk about some unions, and we love it. We love hearing about sort of these like wild ideas that everybody has, and just these crazy like out there goofball brainstorm thought processes that people have. That's that sort of creativity that made us hire you guys in the first place. But just as a warning, as your manager, unionizing will probably lead to more harm than good for you in particular, because management doesn't like that, right? So if you want better work-life balance, if you want better pay and all that, that's something that you can bring to me. I'll take it to the higher ups, and then we'll see what we can do. Yeah. That always ends up being success, right? And you're asking. Yeah, of course. So multiple people in the department have asked for raises. We have not, as of yet, administered any raises, but we'll get to that in a second, right? It's one of those things where, because the company's changing and the shareholders are shareholdering, we're unable to fulfill that requirement as of yet. But it's in the process. You might have to wait maybe like 10 to 20 years, possibly 30. But by then you probably would have been fired. So, sorry, not fired, let go. And so from there, you'll get your raise, and you'll be able to match the living wages of 30 years ago. So moving on to your punctuality. This again it's a below expectation. It needs some work. I've written out some suggestions. I know of your home life. Your commute is tough. I totally get that. Going from Earth up here and then back down, it's a real killer, right? Which is why I have mentioned to you before that we have, bunk beds. We have little cots that you can sleep in here in the office. So if you do feel like you're not going to be able to be punctual, I do recommend, not mandatory, it is not forced upon you, but I do end up recommending that you take, you do sleep in the office. And if you need anything, like if you need toothpaste, if you need any of your like essentials, you can of course go and buy them and then bring them back here. I think we have a little box for each individual Reaper that can actually go and put all of their things in. You'll be able to go grab the box, go to the communal bathroom, get everything ready, and it should be good. So there's that. The next thing is your punctuality. This is where I wanted to talk about you don't meet the expectations, and I have written down here. This is directly from the top, right? And this is a quote, right? So I need you to really let it sink in. I need you to really, open your mind to this quote, right? Death shouldn't wait, right? You shouldn't wait for the possible like best moment for someone to die to take their soul. If you need to rush things, if you need to move things along, we encourage you to do so, right? Morals should be gone, right? That's another quote. If there's so many things that you need to really think about, right? Like, how can you be efficient with getting souls, right? This is not any of these, how do you call it? It's not one of those situations where we need you to think with your heart first. We need you to think with your brain, and you need to be logical, right? You need to be logical. And this is all about punctuality, right? You need to get back to the office with your souls at a timely manner. So I'm just going to write that down, that I've sent that to you. Okay, and then that concludes the performance aspect of this. Okay, and now can I get you to sign here, just so that we know that I have given you your performance review, and then we'll move on to the next aspects. Yeah? Okay, it's right here. Here, you can take my pencil if you need it. Oh, don't read that clause over here. No, it really doesn't contain. It just means that we own you from now till forever, but it's really not that important. So if you can just sign for me, yeah. Okay, yeah, perfect, wonderful. Okay, and so we're moving on to heavenly updates. So, yearly salary increases. Like I said before, this is something that's been a hot topic. They have been postponed. These are the inflation raises. And, since we don't control inflation, we don't necessarily feel that it is our responsibility to keep up with it. However, we also think that this is for your benefit. In particular, a lot of the shareholders believe that the increase of inflation increase for wages ends up only hurting you, right? Because if you don't have that fire underneath you, then how are you going to feel motivated to work? If you don't have food, if you don't know where food is coming from, unless you get that soul, then you're going to get that soul, and we need you to be desperate. So that's just something that is for your benefit. You being desperate and being on the verge of homelessness is for your benefit. Next is Reaper uniforms, right? They're changing. So we all know the Reaper uniforms are pretty classic, right? They're pretty black with a hood and a scythe. We have decided, and I say we as in the higher ups, of course, they're deciding to go with white. So this is a sample fabric of what they're going to be made out of. Now this is pretty important. They have a nice little embroidery, white embroidery, which you can't really see, but you'll get to take a look at this in a second. That ends up giving a nice calming look. And what we're hoping for, and maybe you can kind of see the bigger picture now, what we're hoping for is that this will give a very nice association with Reapers, so that when you do arrive, so that you don't have to make that bond, and you don't have to stick to your morals. Instead, you can just let the outfit speak for you, and then you can get in and get out, right? And people will be a lot more forgiving. So from here you can give it a nice little feel right here. How's this feeling? Yeah, it feels good, right? It's pretty much the same fabric, but we did end up doing a lot of market research to figure out how to make the fabric much cheaper. And it really just turns out to be that you just need to use slave labor. And then that totally cuts on costs, So, that is what the CEO wanted, and that's what the CEO is going to get. So, now that we're done with that, let's move on to the next point. Yeah. Prada is dropped as our sponsor. It is unrelated as to why we're moving outfits, but we now are going to be partnering with Gucci. So, before when you were going in and taking people's souls, there was the little clause that you had to flash your little Prada boots. Now we're just going to put the Gucci pattern on a purse that you'll be carrying. So when you enter, you won't actually have the scythe behind you menacingly. This is another one of those things where we need you to actually, where we want the outfit to speak for itself. And make people at ease. You're going to walk in, full white garb, hood, Gucci bag. And then you go inside and you'll pull out Gucci branded scythe. And that's going to be so slay. Yes. Yeah. It is, I think our CEO has been obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race. So they definitely wanted to incorporate that word in this meeting. So next is, so this is just an update. Our CEO, of course, has gained the Nobel Peace Prize for profiting from the most deaths. That is a really big honor for the CEO and for the company. This is not just the CEO's Nobel Prize, it's all of our Nobel Prizes, right? So you can take sort of like a roll of toilet paper, put it up in your home, and just imagine that is a Nobel Peace Prize that you have gained because you did gain it. And so because he gained it for the most deaths, profiting from the most deaths in particular. And this is such a big momentous occasion. Nobody has profited so much from death before. And as such, everyone will be getting a really, really wonderful gift from the CEO. Everybody will get one 5-minute break that you get to take whenever you want. If you want to take a smoke break for 5 minutes, if you want to have a chat, take those breaks to have those chats so that you're not taking up that time like I was talking about before. Definitely a wonderful gift. Next is everybody is expected to send a congratulatory email to the CEO. This is just one of those things where it's just common courtesy, right? He definitely will not read it, and you definitely will not be remembered. But he just wants the influx of emails to make him feel like he wants to inflate his ego as much as possible. And it's just one of those things that, in the corporate world, it's one of those bureaucracies I just couldn't get rid of for you. I know. Sometimes when I fail, we all fail, right? So, lastly, we're going to move on to retraining. So, how are you feeling? Just checking in, just doing a quick check-in. How are you doing? Are you good? Okay, good. Yeah. Wonderful. So, since you're doing okay, I can sort of tell you're having sort of a blank face. It's a lot of information. And, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll get back to you within 3 to 7 years, and we'll touch base again to figure that out. I know that I haven't had much FaceTime with the team, but I think that because I set you guys up for success, you don't really need me around, and instead I can do what I do best, which is these meetings. So this retraining, of course, mandatory. It's just simply 5 questions I'm going to ask you, and you're going to tell me your answer, and then I'm going to give you the ideal answer that we would have liked to have heard. If you're able to get some of these answers, brilliant. But don't worry too much about it, because uh, you're likely already know this, is what I'm trying to say. So number 1 is, if you were tasked to gain the soul of a family member, take it and bring it to our corporation, guide them to the afterlife, how slow do you think you need to be with a family member? Okay. Right. So, according to our heavenly update that happened 2 weeks ago by email, family members, reapers and family members are now allowed to interact, and reapers can take the souls of their family members. This should, you should have known this already. But in terms of how slow, it should not affect how quickly you're able to sort of go through and get your kills and get your souls. So really, we don't want it to affect whether you know the person or not. We don't want it to affect your KPI, right? Your sort of kills per kills per intermission. So let's move on to number 2. What's the best way to efficiently collect souls? And this is an open-ended question. We were talking before about how you and other people end up taking a bit of time because they end up being sentimental. How would you say that you could be a bit more efficient? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I would definitely say that is an option, but for future reference, there are a few other ways that you could be more efficient, right? They're called natural disasters. They're called tragedies, right? Think of group killings, right? How can you take advantage of that? Yes, I know that's very heartless, but this is a very thankless industry, and you really need to sort of move on with the times. Times are tough, and tough times are now. So just keep that in mind. Instead of going in and gently taking the soul of a dying grandmother, knowing that you'll be back later to get the dog that's pretty old that's next to her. And you may as well just cave the roof in, get them both in one go, and then get out. So number 3 is, if one person is dying today and another is dying tomorrow, how do you proceed? See, I gave you a little hint for this. No. Okay. So what you're going to have to do, what we would have liked to have heard, is that the person that's dying today, you grab, and the person that's dying tomorrow, you also grab that day. It's just called efficiency, especially if they're en route. And if they're not, if you're unsure, just do it anyway, because higher numbers makes it look better regardless of accuracy. And the reason why we end up touching upon this is because this is a very highly accurate system that we run here. But we're all superhuman. We're all in the afterlife. It's gonna be difficult to iron out every single mistake. And so, the small percentage of inaccuracy where you take someone's life that you shouldn't have is accounted for when we got our approval. Yeah, when we got our approval, it was at a 0.5%. Right now, it's a bit higher than that, sitting at about, I believe, 25%, but it's okay, you know. And with this, we do expect it to go a little bit higher, but this is a problem for when we restructure next year. So, number 4 is killings at funerals. Is it unethical? Yeah. Yeah, you're getting with the program. Yeah. So, if heartbreak is a very real disease and can be used to boost our numbers. If you stumble upon a funeral, if you're taking the soul of the person during a funeral, and you notice that they have a spouse, if you notice that they have loved ones that are really, really struggling, don't hesitate to grab them as well, right, and bring them to the afterlife. You're really doing them a service, because what ends up happening is that you are bringing them, you're reuniting them. So, you're really actually being kind. So number 5, if you take a soul and someone sees you, what do you do? Yeah, you're getting it now. Yeah. Yeah. See, if you take the soul of someone and someone sees you, don't hesitate to take their soul too. Not only does it increase your numbers, which is really a lot of what these questions are asking of you, how do you increase the numbers? It's also a situation where if they do see you, then it's perhaps a sign, right? Maybe the CEO is looking down upon you and blessing you to take this person as well. So, okay. Well, that is the retraining. And now I'm going to need you to sign the retraining as well. You're going to have to sign and date it. So here you go. Right there. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so make sure to grab your goodie bag. It has it has the Gucci scythe and the Gucci hood. It also has a Gucci pop figure. But those in particular, make sure to keep within the box because we definitely think that they're going to raise in value. And, as you keep it, we do ask that you pay interest for the gain. It's called a gains tax because you're sort of keeping it in a mint condition. What'll end up happening is that it'll increase in value, and then what value we set it as, you'll pay the difference in tax. So it's just a way for us to keep track of how much money everybody's making so that we're able to pay everyone appropriately and we're not mispaying them. Yeah. Okay then. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day and make sure to get those holes. Okay then. Bye-bye.